Okay, hello everyone. Good morning to everyone. So, as I already told you that I hope that you have already revised the topics which we have covered in our last couple of classes or in the last week. We have already started a topic like inheritance or extending classes. There we have discussed about the basics of inheritance. Then we have discussed about various types of inheritance. Then we have extensively see how those different types of inheritance can be fitted with the real world problems or real world models. And then we have discussed about the C++ code for each and every type. And then I have already shown you in case of in case of inheritance how one uh, derived class of different access specifier like protected, public, or private can be can inherit from another base class. Okay, but how the derived class with different access specifiers behave differently from each other. So that I have shown in through different programs. Okay, in the last class. I hope that you have already revised all those things. So today, my objective is to discuss with you about some very tricky points regarding inheritance. You can say that most of the technical exams or interviews from different software companies who are interested to hire their employee with the expertise of C++, they are asking some questions from this kind of topics. Okay, like today we are first going to discuss about the ambiguity resolution in inheritance, how the ambiguity can arise in inheritance and how we can resolve that ambiguity problem. So obviously you can understand this kind of tricky question has been asked by the interviewer very frequently. Then we will discuss about the virtual base class, the use of virtual base class in inheritance to support some kind of not support to resolve some kind of challenges or issues or problems that used to happen in inheritance. Then, if we will have time, then we are going to discuss about the uh, the constructor, the use of constructor in derived class in inheritance. But apart from this topic, we are also going to give some a small discussion on abstract class because abstract class, the topic which we are going to cover in virtual base class, in the same topic we are going to also cover the abstract class. Okay, so let's start one by one. Okay, so as I have already told those who are absent in the last class, I have already told that up to inheritance will be your syllabus of your midterm, first midterm. Okay, that will be started from 27th September. So starting from the first chapter or the basics of C++, you are going to cover all the topics up to inheritance. Okay, so whatever topics we are going to learn up to inheritance that you are going to cover as a first midterm syllabus, right? So till now we are in the inheritance chapter. Okay, so I hope that today or either by the next class we are able to complete the inheritance topic or inheritance chapter. Then we are going to start with our new concept of pointers, virtual and polymorphism. Okay, that we are going to start, but that topic is not part of your syllabus. Okay, midterm syllabus up to inheritance, that will be the part of your midterm syllabus. Okay, those who are absent, the I request the CR to convey this information to them. Okay, same syllabus for both BTech and BCA people, right? Okay, so I hope that up to this everyone is clear to everyone, right? The information is clear to everyone. Okay, let me share my screen first. Today, I would like to show you these concepts. Uh, Whatever concept we are going to discuss today through programming directly. So the first concept that I want to discuss with you, that is ambiguity resolution in inheritance. Everyone listen very carefully and try to analyze the concept, okay? Because tricky questions are coming, especially interviewer will ask a very frequent question from this topic of ambiguity. What kind of ambiguity we can face during the implementation of the inheritance? It can be any kind of inheritance. It can be implementation of multiple inheritance, or it can be implementation of single inheritance. We can face ambiguity. What kind of ambiguity we'll face, and how we are going to resolve that one? That is the main objective. So can anyone tell me what is the general meaning of this word, or this term ambiguity? What do you understand? General meaning. What do you understand by ambiguity? Anyone? What is ambiguity?
Sir, not clear with the answer, I guess. Like there can be more than one options. It's confusing, I guess.
Right, right. Your intention is correct. So ambiguity is nothing but it's a confusing type of output you will get. What he has already told. So ambiguity means you cannot take a decision correctly. So there may be multiple decision, more than one decision, okay, and which seems to be correct for both the cases. So the ambiguity is that at the runtime you cannot decide which one is correct and which one is wrong. That is called ambiguity. The general meaning, or general the general sense of an ambiguity term. Okay. So from C++ programming point of view, how ambiguity arrive, okay, and how we are going to resolve that problem. So let's check out this program. I will directly like to discuss the ambiguity from programming point of view, because it is easier for you to understand, okay, instead of theoretical discussion. So look at this program very carefully, okay. First, we have defined a class A, or declare a class A, right, where we have declared and defined a public method display, which has a statement, this is class A, okay. Now we have another class, class B, which acts like a derived class of class A. So inheritance relationship exists in this line, where class B is working like a derived class and class A is working like a base class. Here, so class B inherits all the properties of the base class, class A, right? Now class B has its own method with the same name and same signature. Try to understand. So I think you are not able to distinguish this class B display method from class A display method. Can anyone tell me, is there any distinguish, or is there any difference between these two methods? What do you say? Any one of you?
No.
Yes, there is one difference. The difference is not syntactical or syntax related. The difference is based on the output. Because class A display method will print the output, this is class A, and class B display method print the output, this is class B. So obviously these two methods are different. They are not similar. Is it correct to everyone? These two methods are different. They are not, obviously they are not similar. Why? Because their execution, or their task, or their responsibilities to print something which are different from each other. Up to this, everyone clear? Is it clear to everyone? So
Yes, sir.
this display method is a display method of class A, which will display a statement, and this display method is a display method of class B, which will also define one statement, but the output of these two methods are totally different from each other. Now my question to you, if I want to access both these methods separately, that means I want to get the output of both these methods. That is a very simple, simple question. I want to get the output of both these methods. How can I do it? What is your Opinion? How can I do it? If I will get the output of both these methods. Anyone? Very simple.
Using a scope operator. Like the base class should be first it will print the base class, then after the
No, just forget about the scope resolution operator. That I am going to tell you the special way of accessing the common method. But generally, without using the scope resolution operator, if I want to get two different output, what should I do?
We will create an object of class A and then object.display.
Very good. Very simple. We will have to create object of each and every class, right? So here, first we'll have to create the object of A class, suppose OB1, and then we are going to create object of B class, suppose OB2. So we are going to print OB1.display and we are going to print OB2.display. Are all of you agree with me? So if we run this code, we will get different output of the same method, similar method display, which are defined separately in two different classes, class A and class B. But can we do this thing here? Is it a good approach to do these things? No. Why? Because we are implementing here inheritance. So if we create separate object, then there is no question of code reusability. So we are not doing code reusability here, right? So entire code reusability, or you can say the inheritance concept, is absent during this call. Why? Because this is a general call. Here you don't require to write this line. If you delete this line, doesn't matter. It will works fine, very fine, similar way. So there is no question of using an inheritance. So this approach is totally unnecessary approach while you are implementing inheritance here. Now, what will be the second approach that we generally do in case of inheritance? We actually create the object of the base derived class, that is BOB2, and by the help of that derived class object, we are able to call or access both the methods of the base class and derived class. We generally used to do. Am I clear to everyone? So
yes, sir.
So if I will do the same approach, what I have told to you, that we generally do in case of inheritance, so what output we will get, that we will see. Check the output very carefully. So this is the output which we have received. That output is the output of the display method of class B. So we are not able to inherit class A display method in this general approach, what we used to follow in case of inheritance. So this problem is called ambiguity in inheritance. Am I clear? Ambiguity in inheritance. Is it clear to everyone?
Sir, why it is happened?
Because the same method name are there. So while you are creating object of the derived class, it is getting confused during the call of this display method, which display method it getting outputted or it's going to access. It's getting confused. So to remove the confusion, what this object will do, this object will, the immediate object of which class? B class or derived class. So that's why it will give the privilege to the method of the derived class only instead of base class. So derived class methods actually overrides the base class method, which I have written here. Class B display method overrides the class A display method at the runtime. So we have to write at the runtime. Okay. So this overridden is happened at the execution time of the program. We didn't see at the compile time. Compile time there is no error in the program. Syntactically the program is very, very fine. But this is a logical kind of problem, and this problem is called ambiguity in inheritance, or this problem is also related with method overridden or method overrides. It's a very famous term, method overridden or method overrides. Why method override? Because class B method overrides the class A method. So as a output, it will get only the class B method. Why you will get only the output of class B method? Why not class A? Because this OB2 is an immediate object of class B. So it is given more privilege to the class B display method instead of class A display method. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Is it very clear to everyone, right? Do you understand it or not? Then I will
Yes,
move.
Yes.
Anyone has any problem, you can ask me. So this is called ambiguity in inheritance. Okay, why ambiguity? Because the object of class B is getting confused at the runtime or at the execution time, which display method it is going to be executed or it is going to be accessed. Class A display method or class B display method, because both display method virtually presents under the control of objects OB2 of class B. So to remove this confusion, object of class B gives the privilege to the display method of class B over the display method of class A, and this is called method overriding or method overriding, whatever you say. Clear? Everyone clear? This is an ambiguity or method overriding concepts. Now let's come into the solution. What will be the solution? The first solution I have already told, but that solution is totally unnecessary solution. That means creating two different objects of two different class. That is a totally unnecessary solution. Why? Because we are not implementing any inheritance or you can say the reusability code concept here. Okay, that is totally unnecessary. Okay, or improper of using that two different objects. We have to use only one single object to overcome this problem. How we can do that? This problem will be overcome with the help of a operator called scope resolution operator. You have already familiar with this operator. And how we can solve this problem? This is the way of solving this problem. So we'll have to make it comment, because we are not going to call the display method by the object directly, because that will create a override output. So that we actually skip that solution. So the next solution, by using scope resolution. Look how I have written this statement. Look this statement very carefully. OB is the object of the base class. Then dot A. What is A? A is the base class name. OB is the object of the derived class, sorry, and A is the base class name. So OB object first accesses the base class, and this base class accessing the own display method with the help of scope resolution operator. So this display method, while this base class A connected with the display method through the scope resolution operator, this display method is specifically the display method of base class A. It will points to the specifically the display method of base class A. In a similar way, when this object associated with the display method of base class B through scope resolution operator, then it specifically points to the display method of base class derived class B. Okay, so in this way, by the help of same object, you can access the display method separately of the two classes, class A and class B. So if we run this one, so this is a solution of this ambiguity problem. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubt, any concept, any confusion?
No, sir.
Is it clear to everyone? I want the response from everyone. Is it clear to everyone? This is a very, very important question.
Yes, sir.
This
Yes,
concept,
Iskandar, good solution, Iskandar.
because this conception needs to be clear, because interview will ask this question very frequently. Very. If I have faced at my interview time, I have faced this. I face this kind of questions multiple times. And you will get this kind of solution in Java as well. Java also has ambiguity during the inheritance, method overriding, and there is a solution in Java. But that solution is not this solution, but this solution is specifically suitable for the C++ because in Java there is no concept of scope resolution operator. Okay, so in Java there is a defined kind of solution. Okay, by using super keyword, you can do the solution. Okay, in Java, super keyword is there. Okay, so just forget about the Java. So this is a kind. So I have actually applied this concept for the single inheritance problem. Right? This is a single inheritance. I think all of you understand these things. One base class, one derived class. So it's a single inheritance problem. Now this ambiguity can also be possible for multiple inheritance problem. This ambiguity can also be possible for multiple or other kind of inheritance problem. Let's check. I'm just modifying this example. So this is class A, void display. This is class B. Okay. Now I'm doing multiple inheritance, so I'm just removing this part. Okay. I'm not doing single inheritance. I'm doing multiple inheritance. Now I am going to define one more class, class C. Okay. And here I am doing multiple inheritance. I don't make it complex. I am making it simple to make both the classes as public. Okay. Because my main focus is to show you the ambiguity or method overridden problem. Okay. Not any other public protected, those type of things. So now within this class C, we have again the same method. Okay. Now how we can handle this problem, that is a question. The same ambiguity problem in terms of multiple inheritance. I hope you have understood. This is the multiple inheritance we are implementing here. Okay. So there is only one derived class and two base classes. Okay. Class A and class B are two base classes. So more than one parent class and only one derived class. This is multiple inheritance. I hope you have remembered these things. Multiple inheritance, this one, base class 1, base class 2, and multiple base class, and then one derived class. So one derived class fetch the properties from multiple base classes. Okay. So here is the derived class is the C, and the base classes are class A and class B. Now within this C class, now suppose, so I want to access suppose the display method of A class. I want to within the C class, not from the main method. Try to understand. I'm trying to show in some different way. Okay. In the C class, I want to access the display method of A class. In the C class, I want to access the display method of the A class. So we are not going to create any object. We cannot create any object here because it is not a main method. Because in the main method, we are getting the chance to create object of a class. Okay. So how we can access the display method of the A class from its derived class C? Simple. Again, by using scope resolution operation, we have to first give the name of the base class, the first parent class A, then scope resolution operator, then display method. This is the way. So after writing this statement, this will, when this display method will call from the main method, then the display method of the A class will automatically call within the C class. Okay. So let's this is class C. Okay. So whether it is executed from the C class or not, that's why we have printed this statement. Okay, to check that this is executed from C class. So in the main method, what we are going to do? In the main method, what we are going to do? We have to create the object of which class?
C class.
Very good. C class object, and we are going to call the display method of the C class. Okay. With the help of this object OB, we are going to call the display method of the C class. Now, while we are calling the display method of the C class, the control will transfer from the main method to the class C method. Okay. And within class C, it will actually inherit all the property of class A and class B. Okay, and we are going to, within the display method of class C, we are going to only access the class A display method. Let's check it out how the output will look like.
Oh, so semicolon, sir. In the last closing bracket, semicolon. No, sir. The last, class C last.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, I forget to leave. Anyone has joined? Okay. So let's run this code.
Private cout. Cout is in private.
See out.
Is in private. Class C private.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a private.
It is in private mode.
Okay, I'm just skipping this out. Okay, I'm not using this. Let's check it out. The compile is not working properly today. Don't know, it's working very slow. You have to restart the compiler. Okay. So
Yes, sir. Working, sir.
forcefully, I am calling the display method of the A class only instead of both the classes. Right? Clear? Now, suppose I am doing the same approach here. Suppose I am not going to do this, just like the previous approach. If I am going to doing this thing, so here, while I am creating the object, so which class display method I want to call, I have to do in such a way. So suppose only C class display method I want to call or access, then I am doing this thing. Okay, it will execute the C class display method. If I am going to access A class display method, then I am going to do this thing. So it is only access the A class display method. So in such a way, by the help of scope resolution operator, we can remove the reduce or remove the problem of ambiguity, not reduce, remove the problem of ambiguity and method overriding. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Do you understand this thing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. So our next topic that we are going to discuss is virtual base classes. Virtual base classes. So to derive the concept of these virtual base classes, I would like to show you one small example. Okay. First, the thing is that the topic name is virtual base class or classes, whatever you say. So as the name suggests, this base class where we have used this virtual keyword in front of it. A class where we have used a virtual keyword while we are declaring the class or defining the class, we have to use a virtual keyword. Now, what is the advantage of using that virtual keyword, or you can say what is the problem to overcome the virtual base class or virtual keyword concept came into the picture. Okay. So the problem is that, let's take one example. You have seen one figure in front of you, this one, right? I think this one is clear to everyone. This figure is clear to everyone. So in this figure, we have implemented single inheritance, multi-level inheritance. So let's talk about the figure in such a way that grandparent is a top base class, you can say, indirect base class of the child. Why indirect? Because child accessing dotted means we can create that link between the grandparent and child direct, but I have make dotted. Dotted means we can create, but we didn't create here. We may create. Okay, and this direct lines will represent that we have already created the relationship between these classes. Okay, so grandparent properties is accessed by parent 1 and parent 2, and child will access all the properties of parent 1 and parent 2, including grandparent, right? So what problem might pose here? That is the question. What kind of problem may face here? So suppose this grandparent class contains some members in public mode private mode, or not private mode, in public and protected mode, because private mode members cannot be inherit. So I am not confused about the private mode member. Make it simple. I am just talking about the protected mode and public mode member. Okay. So suppose the grandparent class contains several public and protected members, okay, which are inherited into the child class. How the child class will inherit the members of the grandparent class? Through parent 1 and parent 2 respectively. Try to understand. The child class inherit all the members which are public and protected in nature in grandparent class through parent 1 and parent 2 class separately, right? So first via parent 1 and again via parent 2, child class inherit the properties of the members of the grandparent class. So this means that child would have duplicate sets of members inherited from grandparent. That is the main problem. Child would have duplicate sets of members inherited from the grandparent. So it is a very common scenario. It is quite possible that child class will inherit the similar kind of members of the grandparent class through parent 1 class first and then parent 2 class second. Right. So that means it might have the duplicate sets of members of the grandparent class into the child class. So this introduces the ambiguity, and this should be avoided or overcome. Is it clear to everyone? Is this concept clear to everyone or not?
Yes, sir.
So obviously, child does not require the same member 2 times. Why it will require the same member 2 times? So it does not require it. So it will actually increase the complexity of the child class, occupy the more memory spaces. Okay, everything will be increased. So this is also called an ambiguity, and this should be avoided. Right? How we can avoid it? That is the solution that we need to discuss. So this duplication of inherited members due to these multiple paths, can be avoided by making the common base class. Which one is our common base class? The ancestor class of this child class by virtual base class, while we are declaring this as a direct or indirect base classes. Let's try to understand. With respect to this example, I'm just writing these things. Then I'm going to show you the actual code. So class child is your class grandparent is your main class. Okay, class grandparent is your main class. So suppose we have written something under the grandparent, right? Some members are there, public protected members are there within the grandparent class. Now this is a parent 1 class, which will inherit the grandparent class. If I am writing anything wrong, please tell me. So while it will inherit the grandparent class, we can make it simple. We are going to use the public access specifier. Okay, and we are going to add the virtual keyword in front of this public access specifier. Try to understand. We are going to add a virtual keyword in front of this public access specifier of this grandparent class. So virtual is one of the keywords among multiple keywords in C++. Okay. So after making it virtual, the parent 1 is inherit the property of grandparent. Okay, as well as it can implement its own property. In the similar way, parent 2 will do the same job for you. Okay. So in case of parent 2, I have written the virtual keyword after the public. Virtual. Now you can say that what should be the right place of the virtual keyword. So these two are the right places. So either you can place the virtual keyword in front public, or you can place the virtual keyword after public. Okay, so public and virtual both are keywords, so they can interchange with each other. Okay, so you can choose any one of the way, right? Okay, so parent2 will do the same job for you. Now we are going to define a child class child, and in the child class we are going to call both parent1 and parent2. I think all of you agree with me. So here I have actually implemented a multiple inheritance, because from the figure it is clearly shown. In this part we are implementing multiple inheritance, okay, and in this part we are going to implement hierarchical inheritance. So that hierarchical inheritance we have implemented through virtual, and these are multiple inheritance. So parent2, right? This is parent2. Okay, so you have written something here. So while you are doing these things, only one copy of the grandparent class will be inherited here. Okay, so while you are using virtual in this call, and while in the child class, while you are calling it immediately to ancestor class parent1 parent2, that means while you are calling this, instead of taking both the similar copy of the grandparent class, it will take only one copy of the grandparent class. It will inherit only one copy of the grandparent class. So there is no duplicacy happen while you are using a virtual keyword. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when a class is made a virtual base class, okay, this is actually a virtual base class. You have made this base class a virtual base class. Grandparent is the main base class. So when you made a class as a virtual base class, C++ takes necessary care to see that only one copy of that class should be inherited, regardless of how many inheritance paths exist between the virtual base class and the derived class. Okay, it doesn't matter how many paths are exist. So let's check one real life program regarding it. So try to understand this program, what I am doing here. I make the program a little bit bigger or complex for you, okay, because I have already shown you the derivation of the virtual class in a simple way. You can implement this code at your home, okay, by writing the members and methods of your choice. Now, I have defined one student base class here. Try to understand this program very carefully, because from this program, I'm going to also tell you the concept of abstract class. Okay. So, class student is a single base class or the main base class. Here, you can consider it along with a grandparent class in the previous example. So, class student, within the class, we have two members, protected and public. So we are mainly concerned about the protected and public members, because private members cannot be inherited directly. Okay. So protected member is roll number, and public members are two member functions, get number and put number. That means with the help of get number function, you will get the roll number of that particular student, and with the help of put number function, you will display that corresponding roll number as output. So this is the members of class student. Now coming to the derived class test. Now within this class test, we have inherit the base class student through virtual keyword. Okay. And we have defined its own members of the class test. So what is the job of the class test members? It will take 2 marks through the get marks method. It will take 2 marks for part 1 and part 2, and then it will print both these marks of that particular student individually. Okay. Now we have defined one more derived class sports, where we have implement the student class. So the concept is similarly of this along with this figure. It is similar concept. So this grandparent will be the student class, this will be the test class, and this will be the sports class. Okay. And the last one, the child will be the result class. Look, so within the sports class, we have defined its corresponding own members, get score of the whatever sports the student will has done. So get score of that sports and put score of the sports. So at the result class, what is the main job? The result class mainly add all the marks from the test class and sports class together to show the total marks of the student. That is the job. So in the result class, we have done the multiple inheritance here. I hope that all of you understood these things. Inherit both test and sports class. Within this result class, we just declare one method as void display to display the total marks of the students. And that method I have defined as a outside class. You can also define the method as a inside function. I have defined as an outside function. Okay. So both the flavor you will get in this program. Okay. So void result, then scope resolution, then display method. I think all of you understood the outside function definition. You have remembered the outside function definition from a class. So within this, we have just simply added part 1, part 2, and score. So from where we will get part 1, part 2? From the test class, we will get part 1, part 2. And from the sports class, we will get score. 3 variables. And then we will print put number, put marks, put score. And at the last, we will print the total marks. Okay, after adding this, the total marks of that particular student will print. In the main method, we have created one object, student1, for this result class. Okay, you can create multiple objects. Suppose if your class have 5 students, then you are going to create 5 different objects: student1, student2, student3, student4, and student5, and then you will run the same code for all the student 5. You can do this by using a array of objects. I have already shown in my previous class. I have already shown how we can create array of objects, if you remember. Okay. Student1 of within third bracket, we can create array of objects, and with the help of for loop, we are going to access all the marks for all the 5 members or 5 students. So for sake of simplicity, I actually create only one object. That means I'm going to calculate all the marks for only one student, student1, and then we are going to take the input of student number, which we are going to pass during the call of this get number, get marks. Okay, and get score. So these 4 inputs we have taken: M1, M2, M3, and SC means score. And last, we are going to call the display method of this result class. Okay, so after doing this one, after using the virtual, it can be guaranteed, or I'm sure that the same copy of the parent class should not be pasted twice or should not be duplicated twice inside the virtual class. But one thing you should remember, that it's a virtual concept, so you are not seeing the concept here as an output, that the copy will not be duplicated. You will not get, but you will get the idea about it. Okay, you will get a virtual concept about it. So first enter the student 1 number, suppose 50, then the 2 marks, 65 and 70. Okay, then the score, sports score, suppose out of 10, 8. So roll number of a student is 50. Okay, then the marks obtained is 65 and 70. I have to give space. I forget to give the space. These are 2 subject marks, 65 and 70, and these are sports marks 8, and then it will be add 65 plus 70 plus 8. It should be 143, the total marks of the student. Is it clear to everyone? Is this program clear to everyone or not? If anyone has any doubt, you can ask me. I'm going to stop here. If anyone has any doubt, you can ask me.